Well, Honorable Farouk Aliyu is still with us in the studio, and we're sinking our teeth into the letter written by former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Now, there are some salient points raised in that letter. Some of our producers have already tried to summarize some of them, and one of them is for him to dismount the horse. He talked about, not being able to ride the horse into 2019. He talked about the PDP in that same breath, but, that...
that he's not endorsing PDP.
Yeah, the allegory of riding a horse was pretty clear in his letter quite a bit. You also have him talking about raising a coalition, for Nigerians or of Nigerians, and how that is supposed to work. He also said that he doesn't want it to be a partisan thing. It's something he hopes to be a part of, but the moment the movement decides to field a candidate, he would have to bow out. Looking at the quotes there, this coalition for Nigeria will be a movement that will drive Nigeria up and forward. It must have a pride of place for all Nigerians, particularly for our youth and for our women. It's a coalition of hope for all Nigerians, for speedy, quality and equal development, security, unity, prosperity, and progress. It's a coalition to banish poverty, insecurity, and despair, which seems to be prevalent in the land.
That is true. Well, unfortunately for Obasanjo and people that believe with what he said, the constitution of this country does not recognize any coalition. I mean, coalition to capture power. So if you want to capture power...
Yeah, no, but it recognizes freedom of association.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. But then associations don't form government. I mean, an association, coalition of Nigeria or whatever cannot form government. The Constitution is very clear.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Okay.
I mean, because I would not... Let us be very clear on what we are saying. He did not ask for a political party. In fact, he says the moment this movement becomes partisan, he will have to bow out because he already said he was not going to be partisan. So what he's saying, and you said that's very true when he talked about banishing poverty and despair from the land. It seems that there is plenty of despair, isn't that right?
That is true.
If that is the situation, doesn't it mean then that your party, the All Progressives Congress, has failed to sustain the hope that a lot of Nigerians put in it in 2015?
Well, I can understand, of course, there are some disappointments, which is true, and nobody said everything that APC did or Buhari did was right. No, of course there are mistakes. There are things that probably before we came in, we didn't know the problem was that much. Like the government came and met only $2 billion. And so with $2 billion, which means it wasn't enough for you to even last for a week in the country. And we came at the time, if you remember, Abuja had security challenges. Boko Haram was probably going to Lagos. All of a sudden, everybody had forgotten about that. I mean, so these are the kind of things that the government had to confront. Yes, poverty. Yes, there's hunger and so on. But now, things are changing. In 2.5 years, of 16 years of the PDP, that's what this government is trying to change.
Honorable member, I just want to come in here because there were very, very specific points that the former president raised, and I want to touch on them. One of them, a major one, was he likened Buhari's government to a nepotic court where nepotism reigns, where kinship and being a nephew counts more than being elected by the people of Nigeria. Now, if he is alleging high-handedness and he is alleging nepotism and he is saying that certain interests are being favored above the interests of everybody, what is your response to that?
Well, my response is Obasanjo is entitled to his opinion. Simple. He could say whatever he likes, but it's not true. It is not true that there is nepotism. How?
I think one of the things that came up in the letter was he talked about how he said that justice must be delivered with clean hands, and that if he alleged that there's some turning of a blind eye and that there's condemnation of misdeed, he, I'm sure, was, I guess, alluding to some of the things that have been in the press when you talk about Babachir Lawal, who was sacked after many, many months of sitting on documents. We have not seen him in the EFCC. We have not seen him in jail or court. What do you have to say about this notion that even the fight against corruption, for example, has been lopsided in favor of some interests?
You see, the good thing about fight against corruption is, look, if anybody in APC feels is protected now because Buhari is in power. Just like when probably Obasanjo was around, some people were protected. Time will come when nobody will be protected. But look, Buhari is known to be different from other presidents of this country. He allows people. So if Babachir is not invited by EFCC, you don't expect Buhari to tell EFCC the way Obasanjo did. I mean, Obasanjo will say, arrest this, arrest that, and so on. This government, President Buhari, you could see from even the election of National Assembly members, he did not interfere.
So you're saying that if the institutions of the Federal Republic of Nigeria are turning a blind eye to certain criminals, the chief executive officer of this country does not have a role to say that these institutions should sit up and actually fight the corruption they pledged to fight during the campaigns in 2015?
And what makes you think that EFCC is tackling only Babachir's case? They have so many cases they are pursuing in court. They have so many things to do. So just because Babachir, I mean, you cannot say they are not doing anything.
Babachir wasn't the only one mentioned. Sorry to interrupt you. But Maina was also, specifically mentioned. There were also allegations of round-tripping, which also refers to what the current Emir of Kano had said, in the days when the Naira was going, up and down against the dollar. He talked about allegations of certain powerful people making calls to the CBN governor, getting the dollars and doing round-tripping, and nothing. Well, not even a statement came from the presidency on that allegation. Let's read that. He says, there were serious allegations of round-tripping against some inner caucus of the presidency, which would seem to have been condoned. I wonder if such actions do not amount to corruption and financial crime. Then what is it?
No, but well, these case allegations, you call them allegations, must have been investigated. And if no proof, how do they pursue anybody?
As with every other thing that has been investigated in this government, I mean, my colleague just referred to the Babachir. Well, we are yet to hear anything, the outcome. We know that the vice president was asked to, head the investigation into that, which people complained about. But even as we speak today, it's close to a year since that investigation was done. Nothing has been heard of it.
Well, I am sure something will come out of it.
When?
Definitely. What? Maybe tomorrow, maybe today. Definitely. Because as I said, look, EFCC and other government agencies have so many things to deal with.
If it comes out tomorrow, just a moment, wouldn't that be an afterthought?
No, why? Why? Why would it be an afterthought? No, it won't be an
Because
afterthought.
this letter has come out.
No. As I told you, look, I don't work for government. But if they think the way I do, this letter should not bother them.
Honorable.
Just one